Hello, my name is Benito Knight Jr. and this is the Unit 2 Part 2 pictures. Okay, so the first three are gonna be messing with the ISO numbers. So the first one, in the first image, I changed my camera settings of the ISO to 100, the shutter speed 1 out of 100, and the aperture to 5.6. The results I got were the subject was clear, however the background was a bit blurry and bright. And then the next image is going to be this one. Okay, this is photoshoot 2. In the second image, I changed my camera settings to ISO 200, shutter speed 1 to 100, and aperture 5.6. What's it called? The results I got where the subject was clear, but the background is bright. So you could see the subject in focus, like you see the details, but in the background it's very bright, so it makes the image kind of hard to see because of all the bright colors and everything. And then the third image, is it? No. Let me see. The third image, in the third image, I changed my camera to ISO 400 this time. The shutter speed is 1 to 100 and the aperture 5.6 as the rest of the other two images. The results I got where the subject was somewhat clear. However, the background was more bright than 2. So, I began to, the more I kept on doing the photographs, I learned that you never want to change the ISO until the last, that you want to change it at the last minute. But sometimes you don't have to change it. And then, let me see. This is 4. Okay, so for this one, I'm changing the shutter speed for photos 4, 5, and 6. So the ISO and the aperture are going to be same, just the shutter speed is going to be different. In the first image, I changed my camera ISO to 100, shutter speed 1 to 100, and the aperture 16. The results I got where the subject was clear and the background was clear as well, so you could see every detail and everything is very noticeable. Let me see. Okay. In the second image, I changed my camera settings to ISO 100, the shutter speed 1 and 400, and the aperture 16. The results I got where the subject was barely recognizable because there's hardly any light in the image. So everything is all dark, so you could barely see the plant. However, it's not really that dark because you can see the shadow as well, but you can't see the pot. So yeah, somewhat very little light, but but since the subject has bright colors, you could somewhat see it. And then the third image, I changed my camera settings ISO 100, shutter speed 1 to 1000, and aperture 16. The results I got where the subject was hardly recognizable, but and the reason for this is because there's no lighting in the image whatsoever. So what I mean by that is in the image, like the background, you can hardly see it. The subject itself was a clear shot, but since there's no image, you can't see it at all. So you could only see like the shadows and the whole image, but you can't see anything else. Okay, so now we're gonna go to changing the aperture. Okay, so the ISO and shutter speed is gonna stay the same, but this time I'm changing the aperture. In my first image, I changed my camera settings to ISO 100, the shutter speed to 1 to 100, and the aperture 4.0. The results I got where the subject is somewhat clear, but the background is blurry and bright. So this is kind of clear, but since the background is so bright, it's actually hard to look at the subject because it's messing up the colors. Okay, now the second image. Okay. In the second image, I changed my camera settings to ISO 100, the shutter speed 100, and the aperture 8. The results I got were the subject is recognizable, however the background is very clear. So everything is clear. You can see the shadows, you could see the plant cells, colors are fine. The background, you could recognize it, and the, what's it called? The sun coming in. I took these pictures around like, I want to say like 12 or 1, so this is when the sun was coming up, but as you can see, it's a good picture. Okay, I think this is the last one. No, well, last one besides the final image. In the third image, I changed my camera settings to ISO 100, shutter speed 100, and the aperture 16. The results I got were the subject is recognizable. No, is a bit recognizable. However, there's only a little bit of light in the image. So what I mean by that is like the background, you could recognize it. The shadow's there. However, the whole subject with its colors, it's like if that light was a bit taken out of it. So that's why the background's clear. You can see the shadows. However, you can't see the subject. Okay. So the last image, I was supposed to take a photo changing my own settings to get the best photos possible. I'm not really I took some photo shoots when I was in high school, but I didn't really knew the camera that well. So let's go to 10. Okay, so my final image, I took this photo. I think it's pretty good in my opinion, but I think I could have probably done better. Okay, so for my final image that I have taken, the shutter speed I used was 1 in 400, the aperture was 8, and the ISO was 100. And I won't change the ISO, so I just changed the aperture and the shutter speed. And this is the image I got. Well, since that was my whole images, thank you for following along and paying attention. And I hope you have a great day.